Ryan Day sees DeMond Williams as lightning in a bottle, but Ohio State trusts its defense to keep him in check.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we will discuss some big scheduling news you're going to love, as well as what the Buckeyes defense must focus on this week. But first, there's a lot of hype surrounding Ohio State's return to the field this weekend after their bye week. One, it's the Buckeyes' Big Ten opener, but also it's the Buckeyes' first road game of the season. Then you add in to playing a team in Washington and just put up 59 points against their rival in Washington State. That just adds to the buzz surrounding this game. And for Ohio State, they are a team that is hungry to get back on the field, but also eager to tackle another test. They knocked off Texas. They took care of Grambling. They took care of Ohio. And now they're ready to take care of Washington as well. And to do so, you must make sure that you contain and keep DeMond Williams in check. Now, it's easy to say. It's a lot harder to do because DeMond Williams is really, really good. And there's a reason why Ryan Day sees him as lightning in a bottle and even saw some Kyler Murray-type skill set in DeMond Williams. But this game is not only about keeping DeMond Williams in check, it's about Ohio State. It's very easy to look at the box score and to look in read articles, listen to podcasts, and people hyping up Washington saying, oh, man, this is a tough test, which it is. And to fall into the trap of, well, it's a tough test. They're saying we can't handle it, and you fall down, just lay down to let Washington win the game. Before Ohio State, just like the Texas game, the Grambling game, and the Ohio game, this is about Ohio State. This isn't about Washington and anything else going on. It's about Ohio State doing what they do. Because Ohio State has a talent, Ohio State has the coaches to make sure going to Washington that they are well prepared, that the players play their best in a tough environment. It's always about Ohio State. And Ryan Day understands that, and Ryan Day realizes this game is about us. It's not about who we're playing. It's about us, the test is right in front of us, and making sure we pass the test. But to do so, you have to contain DeMond Williams. And when I went back and watched some recap and some plays from the game against Washington State, let me tell you, this young man's decision-making is not normal. 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drop. If he goes back, he has an internal clock that when the thing hits, he is scrambling. And there were times Washington State had some pretty good coverage on the Husky receivers. Next thing you know, DeMond Williams scrambles, gets a first down, or gets some positive yardage, where if he held the ball and stayed behind the line of scrimmage, it could have been no gain, a negative gain. But no, he said, no, my clock is hitting, and I got to go. Well, for Ohio State to be able to combat that, you have a guy in not only Caleb Downs, but also a couple guys in Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. They're going to have to be great spies. And I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to use a spy against DeMond Williams, at least the same one over and over. You want to make that picture pretty cloudy. But Ohio State's going to have to make sure that when it comes to DeMond Williams' clock, they're preparing for that internal clock that he has right now and maybe doing it a half a second faster or a second faster, because when homie puts his foot in the ground and he is ready to go, he gets where he wants to go very, very fast. It's almost like a no-brainer. He's the best quarterback Ohio State is going to play in the first 4 games of the season. Yeah, some may say it's Arch Manning. I have not seen Arch Manning play in the way that DeMond Williams is currently playing. This young man is a gamer. He is also pretty efficient as well as a passer. Went back and looked at some of his numbers for the season. He is completing 73.5% of his passes. He has thrown for 778 passing yards and 6 touchdowns, and he has not thrown a pick. That might change this weekend. You want to add in some of his rushing numbers. He's rushed for 220 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, averaging 6.5 yards a pop. And so DeMont Williams is a dual threat guy, but when he does it, his decision making is very, very good, and he is sharp and deliberate with every single move. Yes, you're also going to hear more throughout this week about Jonah Coleman and Denzel Boston and the three-headed monster that the Huskies have on offense. But Ohio State's ability to be able to have a cloudy picture for a quarterback, the ability to change something pre-snap and post-snap, and being able to change it, you were even causing some headaches for your opposing team's head coach, Steve Sarkisian, who was open about realizing and saying the way they were able to change coverage and change what they were doing pre-snap to post-snap is not something you normally see in college. And I think that same thing is going to have to happen this weekend against DeMont Williams, but also you're going to have to handle that crowd. Now, that crowd is going to be tough to deal with because it's going to be loud. It's going to be a raucous environment, kind of a sneaky, tough environment, especially for people that are in the Midwest or the East Coast. A lot of people would not expect for Seattle to be really a hotbed of sports, but it really is. Seattle Supersonics and need to go back, and the NBA needs to put a team back there in Seattle because they love their basketball. Everything about the Seattle Seahawks when they were at their peak, what did you find? That Seattle Seahawk fan base was wild and crazy and rowdy. Even having the awning or the covering there in the stadium over the fans, that adds to it's going to trap some of the sound. Yes, I know it's probably because of the amount of rain, the crazy amount of rain they get over there in the Pacific Northwest. And so you want to put a covering there over the fans to shield them from the precipitation. I love that part of the stadium, but also, if I'm a fan, that's going to trap a lot of that sound. Well, for Ohio State's defense, they can't go out there and look out there and hear the noise and just lay down and not follow the blueprint. Matt Patricia comparing him to Kyler Murray, and as well as Ryan Day comparing him to DeMont Williams, that is, to Kyler Murray. That means you're not only watching Kyler Murray film, they're probably going to try to maybe call some defensive coordinators or tap into some of Matt Patricia's expertise in former times when he was a head coach or a D coordinator in the NFL to say, what did Kyler Murray do well? And what did you do back then to overcome some of his strengths? And how can you allow the Ohio State's defense right now to utilize some of these things to contain DeMont Williams? Also, defensively, on the defensive ends, something that hasn't really been a strong suit for Ohio State is the D ends have to keep contained. It's not always going to be the edge rushers. Sometimes it might be an outside backer or a safety that's keeping contained on a particular play. You must 100% keep contained. Because I would encourage everybody out there, go on YouTube, look up Washington versus Washington State from this past weekend, and you can see a 15 to 20-minute, maybe 30-minute clip or recap of the past game. And if you just focus on the offense, what you're going to find is that DeMont Williams, his deliberate nature and his play call and his movements and decisions, it's not normal. Not for a college kid. Not for a kid that wasn't starting last year. He backed up Will Rogers. He got the nod late in the year. And the next thing you know, in the first 3 games, he looks like the real deal. And there was a lot of hype surrounding his name, but he does look like the real deal, which is a big reason why Washington right now is averaging 536 total yards of offense, and they have the second best scoring offense in the country at 55.7 points per game. Compare the two, Ohio State. Ohio State's currently averaging 40.3 points per game, and they have the 25th best scoring offense in the country. Numbers are great. DeMont Williams, he's pretty good. But I also believe Ohio State has an answer to keep this young man in check. And a way for Ohio State to keep him in check is make sure the Buckeye players are focused on the same thing, on the correct things, leading into the game on Saturday afternoon. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. There's a local barbecue spot in my neighborhood that comes alive every Sunday during football season. Everyone's in team colors. The energy is incredible, and it feels like the entire block is there cheering together. It's the kind of place where you walk in and everyone knows your name. The staff are like family, and they've been serving this community for years. Those local spots are what make the neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Guys, college football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love zone deals too. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. So I'm sure some of you watching on the YouTube right now, and if you're not, make sure you go subscribe to Locked on Buckeyes right there on the YouTube. It is free every single day. And you're noticing that I'm wearing a white hat for the second day in a row. Normally I wear a Locked on hat, or I have a black and white Ohio State hat, or I have some dad gang hats that are primarily red, black, or white if I wear them on the show. But I don't wear a hat that is primarily white. But I figure since Ohio State is playing their first road game of the year, which is in Seattle, they might bring out the icy whites. I'm going to bring out the icy white hat and wear it for y'all this week. So yesterday it was a hat from the Game Cap, big sponsor of Locked On. And for today, it's a dad gang hat that is white that I just got. Wasn't planning on getting the hat, but it got a sale and they put it back on the website. And so I had to go ahead and take care of that thing. And one thing I do when buying hats, I am very particular. I am very picky, as my wife would tell you, when it comes to hats, clothes, shoes, all that stuff. I make sure that there are certain things that shoes have, that hats have, that clothes have that fit me. When it comes to a good hat, I love a good two-tone hat. When I say two-tone, I mean the brim and the hat itself are two different colors. Now, there are times like yesterday, the brim and the top of the hat that I wore were the same color. It was all white, had red Ohio State lettering right there on the front. But generally, I'm a two-tone guy. Got gray or silver here, got white up top. The lettering, as you see it right now, is red. Got a black on that side. I had to think about where I was looking at on this side of the head. And so I like certain things, but I like two-tone hats. When it comes to shoes, there are certain brands I'll buy. There are certain brands I won't buy. When it comes to clothes, there are certain fits I like. There are certain fits where I'm thinking I'm not even going to look at that and try it on. Well, there are certain things that I stick to. And Ohio State, while preparing for Washington, must stick to certain things. I have fundamentals in clothing, in shoes, in buying hats. And Ohio State's fundamentals for this weekend must be what they're focusing on right now. Because for any defense, since the defense is the topic of the day, any defense in the country is going to preach the same thing to their defensive ends or their guys on the edge. Same principles. You must keep contained. I can't tell you how many times I've watched football. Happened this past weekend. Watching the Colts play the Titans. Also, shout out Colts 3-0. I've not seen, and the Colts haven't been 3-0 since 2009. So I'm kind of on cloud nine right now. But I was watching the game. My family came over, and the Colts edge rushers were not keeping contained at time, and it allowed Cam Ward to get loose a little bit. And for this weekend, that's something Ohio State must focus on. Keeping contained. Now, it's not just a Demond Williams thing. This is any quarterback. you must keep contained. Like I mentioned earlier, if you go back and watch some of the clips from Washington State in the Apple Cup from this past Saturday, you will see that there were times that Washington State didn't keep contained. They actually seemed like they were trying to part the Red Sea instead of getting pressure up the middle on the quarterback. They just allowed the guards and centers to push them further to the outside so DeMond Williams could just climb up in the pocket, go right in the crease, and move the ball, get past the line of scrimmage. And they did it over and over and over again. But for Ohio State, the edge rushers have not been a strong suit or the strongest unit position for on the team. Honestly, if you want to think about any of the weakest positions outside of Caden Curry and Bo Atkinson, you may want to say all the other edge rushers are not really getting the job done at the standard that has been set at Ohio State. Some guys on the interior, Tywone Malone Jr., Edric Houston. Edric Houston is getting better. He may still be dinged up from the injury he suffered during training camp. Who else is there? Did I say Will Smith Jr.? I know I meant to mention someone else. Anyways, the guys in the middle, the D tackle position, have been pretty solid. And that was at one time a weakest position, but they're making a quick name for themselves in the right way. Well, those guys on the edge must play their best game of the year. Play good, play solid ball against Texas. Play pretty good against Grambling and against Ohio. But now your level of play has to go to another level because you have Washington. I'm going to look ahead a little bit, but Ohio State players and coaches can't. After Washington, Minnesota comes to town. And then you go to Illinois in a rivalry game for the battle for the Ella Buck. And then you have to go to Camp Randall. Well, Luke Fickell may not even be there when Ohio State goes to Camp Randall in a month. But if he is, even if he's not, it's going to be a wild place to play. And you want to have a reason to celebrate when jump around is played at the end of the third quarter. And you don't want to be someone that's out there dancing when it's a one-score game because Ohio State should blow Wisconsin out of the water. Well, right now, focusing on the fundamentals of defense and knowing what your principles and responsibilities are on any given play are going to help you this week because if you're keying the wrong thing, if you are not prepared, if you don't know the call, DeMond Williams can take advantage of that. He is really good. I'm not here just to hype up a guy that's not good. No, but I mean, this man could be the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Let's say Julian Sand does not keep playing at the same level that he has played in the first 3 weeks. What other quarterback? Fernando Mendoza? Yeah, I mean, he's a worthy guy. Jade Mayava, maybe. But I think what DeMond Williams has done so far and the way that Washington is expected to play the rest of the year, it is possible that if some quarterbacks start to fall in the middle of the year, maybe hit a slump, DeMond Williams can win an award at the end of the season. That's how good he is. While I'm going to hype him up because he's good, I'm not going to forget that Ohio State has the answers. Ohio State has answers for him. They have answers for Jonah Coleman, Denzel Boston. They have answers for anything Jedd Fisch tries to do. Because Ohio State is built to not only attack an Arch Manning or a Parker Navarro, they are set to attack and to keep in check any quarterback that they play. Yeah, in a few weeks, you're going to have Luke Altmaier. You may have Billy Edwards Jr. or Danny O'Neal when it comes to Wisconsin. A very young quarterback going to be playing at Minnesota. After that, you're going to have to play Drew Aller. And what are you going to find? That Matt Patricia is going to have an answer. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be a 4-2-5 or a 3-3-5 look or a dime and a 3-2-6 look. I don't know. I don't know what the look's going to be. That's for Matt Patricia to figure out. But with him being able to figure that out, that adds to the effect and the impact that Ohio State's defense is going to have. While you have never seen a quarterback like this year, you have Lincoln Kienholz. Now, I know Link is having some offensive packages designed for him. This might be a week for him to play a little bit of the scout team quarterback because his elusiveness, his ability to move in the pocket and to move around and be athletic, he might mirror DeMond Williams better than Tavion St. Clair. I'll leave that there for now. We will pick that up later in the week. But we are not going to wait any further to discuss some big scheduling news that you're going to love. We'll dive into it after the break. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. With more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same attention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. I would encourage anybody out there listening or watching this show right now to try to find a way to have fun with the Buckeyes' first road game. If you want to do a different tradition for a road game versus a home game, go for it. It also opens up the avenue for you to have different traditions for a bowl game, or maybe it's a regular season game at a neutral site. You can start your own traditions for you, your family, your friends, whoever's in your life. Start those traditions because traditions are fun. Now, maybe I will start rocking this white Dad Gang hat anytime the Buckeyes have a road game, which means I'm going to wear it 3 times over the next 4 weeks. And normally I only wear hats on haircut week, which is this week. But maybe with the tradition, you might see a boy rocking the hat any given day. Well, I might rock the hat any given day. I might have to start preparing for some night game traditions because Ohio State's going to have another night game this year. It has been announced via the Big Ten that Minnesota versus Ohio State, which is in a couple of weeks, will be a night game. It'll be a 7:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff on NBC. It is no Peacock exclusive. It's right there on NBC, and I believe it'll be a broadcast crew of Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge, and Catherine Tappan. And I am so excited. I literally got a text from one of my friends on Monday saying, "Hey, let me know if you hear anything about the kickoff time for the Minnesota game because they're happening to go." Then the Big Ten announced it, and then I sent that right back to them, and they didn't even believe me. I literally just followed through with what they said, and they said, "Oh man, I don't believe you because Ohio State don't get night games." Sorry, Mom, that's poor English. I'll try and clean it up a little bit. Ohio State doesn't get night games like this. They don't. Now, in any given year, Ohio State's going to have a non-conference game that's going to be at night, probably be on the Big Ten Network or the Peacock, and I don't like it. You probably don't like it, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. And for the fact that for them to get another night game, and I believe this is the first time Ohio State's going to have, was it back-to-back home night games? Because the Ohio game was at night. The next home game will be at night since 2022. I believe it was the Toledo and the Wisconsin back-to-back home night games in that season. I mean, it's weird, but while Ross Bjork has been very vocal and open about some of the things he wants to change at Ohio State and some of the things that he is not pleased with at Ohio State, one thing I can get behind him with is his desire and him being vocal about Ohio State not playing enough night games. Also, when he is trying to revamp Ohio Stadium and try to bring more money into the stadium and add some music to hype things up and have a different interest for Brutus, and then also what we saw a year ago in the game against Tennessee in the playoff, where Ohio State literally quickly, changed things up and got the drone show and got the signs in the stadium to flash red, and there was a red out. I mean, this is huge. Also, that Minnesota game was a night game, and so I didn't think Ohio State would be open to doing a night game on homecoming weekend. Either at 12 o'clock, at the latest, it'll be a 4 o'clock Eastern. Put that bad boy on Fox, and Ohio State fans are like, "Hey, I'm here for it." A little bit afternoon, and we're not on big noon right now. That would be great. And I hope, I hope, one, that Ohio State wears black against Minnesota because you're not locked in to have another night game. You already have a blackout scheduled for the Penn State game, even though it's probably going to be a 12 noon kickoff. So, and also that the Buckeyes are already open about not wearing their black jerseys when they have a blackout schedule. Does that make any sense to you? No, it doesn't make any sense to me either. Why would you have a blackout schedule for the fans when the players are not going to wear their all black jerseys? Make it make sense. So I understand homecoming is a traditional thing. Sometimes they may wear their all gray jerseys. For me, and just make this. If it's just one thing about Jay, make this about Jay, but I guarantee you might be on the same path as well. For Ohio State to wear black, they're all black jerseys, black helmets, black top, black bottom, black tights, black cleats, all black everything. Do it. Absolutely do it. Or if you want to do something different, which is something that a lot of us do on EA Sports College Football 26, is I will wear a black top with some white pants. Why? Because Ohio State should do that. Ohio State has colors that should be interchanged. You shouldn't always wear your red top with your silver pants. You can wear red top with your gray pants. You could wear your red top with your white pants. You could wear your black top with your white pants. You may want to wear a red top with black pants. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Or a black top with red pants. I wouldn't be opposed to that either. I think Ohio State and Nike, because they have to work hand in hand, need to work together to make sure that Ohio State is able to have jersey variations and be very creative with the jerseys. I understand the tradition-rich program that Ohio State has. And I understand that when I'm saying this right now, there might be fans that are pushing back saying, no, it's homecoming, it's tradition. We are going to wear our normal tradition jerseys. I get it. Trust me, one of the biggest draws to me when I was younger was the talent at Ohio State. One of the things that drew me closer to being a bigger Ohio State fan is the tradition at Ohio State. I understand why people may say that, but how much more fun would it be and memorable of a night would it be if Ohio State went out there wearing black tops and their white pants and went out there and smacked Minnesota? I mean, the Golden Gophers are rolling out of the stadium because they can't walk anymore because, man, they just got bulldozed by the Buckeyes. And I think Ohio State could do that. And if you want to say, Jay, well, they can't. Why? I mean, why can't they? They do it for Nike. I mean, not Nike. Do it for Oregon. I don't know if Oregon's streak of having a different jersey for over 100 games is still intact, but there was a time Oregon had a different jersey every single week for multiple seasons. I mean, every week you get different gear. It was a recruiting tool. It was a thing. If I was 17 years old and I'm getting recruited by all the big schools in the country, and Oregon says, "Hey, come over here for an OV." Now, back in the day, you only got 5. You get more now, but you get 5 official visits. You take your third to Oregon, and the next thing you know, you're like, "Dog, this facility is nice. They got everything you want." And then they go into the uniform room, and you're like, "So, what jerseys do y'all wear?" And you're just a novice. You just play high school ball. You don't really rock college ball like that. But you're like, "Do we wear?" Sir, we've worn different jerseys for every game over the past 10 years. You're going to get a different jersey every game you play. Like, excuse me? A different jersey every game I play? And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, this place is different. That's a great recruiting pitch. Now, maybe the all black isn't what fans want on homecoming, and I would understand it. Recruits might. Anytime you have a game that's off of noon, you're going to have the opportunity to have more recruits there. 3:30 in Washington, I wouldn't be shocked if there are some Ohio State recruits that are local in the area that are going to try to be at that game. It wouldn't shock me if there are some Ohio State recruits that are going to try to be at the game against Minnesota. Why? It's in the shoe, and it's at a time that they can still play their game on a Friday night and then hop on a plane or drive and then get to Columbus and not have to rush to go from the car to the field because the game is in the middle of the afternoon at 3:30. This is a great recruiting pitch and recruiting tool for Ohio State. I know I went long with the jerseys for a reason that I didn't think was going to actually happen, but get a night game. I'm so glad Ohio State gets a night game. They deserve it. They are the biggest brand in the country, and this shouldn't be the end of it. Towards the end of the season, Ohio State should get another night game. I know traditionally in the Big Ten, up until recently, that the Big Ten doesn't have night games in November. I understand that Ohio State can have night games in November, that the Michigan game won't be one, even though it could be. You could definitely have a night game in November in the shoe. I want it. I'm sure you want it. And I hope Ross Bjork continues to pound the table to help Ohio State have more night games in the shoe. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked on College Football, because Spencer McLaughlin is the man to help you stay up to date with everything going on in college football, from finishing up some recap from this past weekend and emptying the notebook to getting you ready for another wild and crazy weekend of college football. You can follow Locked on College Football and Locked on Buckeyes right there on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.